The story of mankind's creation from a Brooklyn perspective. In the beginning was the light, and God, and all of the souls which God created. And all of the souls which God had created stood in the light, and each knew whether they were evil or righteous, and whether they were beloved of God or hated of God. And then God shone all of creation the earth that he created, and no one soul was independent, for they could not exist separate from God. And some already thought to separate from God to be independent, and they did, for God allowed it. And the other souls whom clung to God ceased to be conscious for a moment. And so did the ones that separated from God. Then God created all his created souls again to be independent souls. He created them in his very own hands, and many tried to flee, for they were scared at God's presence and scared for what the future holds. Also, they were in awe of how God would create them in the image of men and women and not in the image of mere animals. Then for a moment all souls shared their opinions, and the divisive ones chose who they would call their enemies, for God both created men and women with various different appearances, and God also did not create men and women so unique, but they all would have others that had a similar appearance to each of them, and some thought to be high-minded and condemn others based on their differences, and some chose enemies of them whom appeared similar to themselves, for they thought of the reason for life to be war and or a competition for world supremacy. And then again for a moment all souls ceased to be conscious. Then God asked of the evil one, "Who is the devil, mine enemy?" And the evil one replied, "I am the devil, your enemy." For the evil one had no fear and thought of himself to be supreme. And then again all souls were conscious, and God said to the evil one, "I am God, bow down to me." And the evil one replied, "No, I am supreme." Then the evil one asked of God to let him into the heavenly highest place where God dwells, and God told the evil one that no, he cannot enter the holy place where God dwelleth, for he is wicked and God is holy, and no one that is unholy can enter into God's sacred place. Then again all souls ceased to be conscious for a moment. Then God recreated a portion of the souls again for a third time, for they sprang from his presence and did live, and some of them chose to be like God, for God is good, and the others chose to be different, independent, and or wicked, for they said that pride is the most coveted and top priority, even above grace, and among these souls was the evil one. And at that moment when they sprung from the presence of God, they were able to design their own likenesses, and the evil one said to himself that he comes from God, therefore he is like God. But he also thought to himself that there is yet a higher God than the one whom he sprung from, for he thought the true Most High God was so holy that he would not show himself nor address the created being in person, for they are to subordinate. And the one whose presence they sprang from did show them his likeness and did address them personally. And for a moment all of the souls whom God created were conscious again, and some saw that the evil one challenged the God whom he sprang, for the evil one was offended that God did not accept him as he did the other souls whom chose to be like God. And the evil one said to himself, "I am not evil, for I am the true Holy One." Therefore the evil one asked if there will be harm and death and lust and war and sin in the world to come, and God told him yes. And so the evil one convinced many that God cannot be good and holy, for that there will be sin in the world to come, and that God should not allow it. And so the evil one convinced one of the souls, saying, "Be God yourself, for we are from God and have the power as God does." And at that moment, many of the souls tried to flee to escape the world to come, and some made it that they themselves ceased to exist, for they had the power to do so. Then the evil one said to the one whom he convinced to be God himself, saying, "Let's all go to the earth in a physical form and make from each of us doppelgangers, for when we do our evil deeds we will have them to use as scapegoats to carry the blame." And also the evil one continued, saying, "Give me authority over all of mankind, that I may be able to test and tempt them into sin, for the true God is holy, and none of the souls that they created will be able to enter his domain once they have sinned." And that one that was convinced to be his God himself agreed, for he had power to do so from the actual true God, for the evil one and all that followed him prayed it. Then the one whom had been convinced to be God himself, recreated the souls that were successful in causing themselves to cease to exist, the ones that tried to flee to escape the world to come. And he did so one by one, before the others whom were following the evil one. And he told each soul, that he recreated, that he is God and they must bow down and worship him only, and he did so forcefully with spiritual might, for the evil one convinced him also to make spiritual forces and evil spirits called jinn and demons, whom they would have control over to further assist in testing and tempting mankind. And man was created whether willfully or not, and were transformed from souls into sperm, and from sperm they were created into physical beings when they fertilized the ovaries of their mothers and were developed, then they were each born on earth. The evil also said to the one who chose to be God himself, saying, "Create beasts and animals to test and tempt mankind," and it was so.